The Race to Save the Romanovs, written by Helen Rapport and read by Damien Lynch. By way of a beginning. After publishing 2 books on Russia's last imperial family in 2008 and 2014, a book on Lenin in 2009 and one on the Russian Revolution in 2016, I really thought I'd come to the end of my written love affair with the Romanovs and Russia. It seemed to me that I had exhausted all I had to say on the subject. From now on, as a writer, I was going to stay closer to home and go back to my other love, the Victorians. But something kept niggling away at me. The Romanovs would not let me go. Romanovs, Russia, revolution. Those 3 seductive words have drawn so many of us into the tragic story of Russia's last imperial family over the centuries since their deaths. They suggest a grandeur that in many ways runs entirely counter to the real family, albeit a royal one, at the heart of it. What is it about Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, and their 5 children, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexey, that endlessly fascinates? Despite representing the apotheosis of 300 years of Romanov dynastic rule in Russia as the possessors of fabulous wealth, vast lands and numerous grand palaces, it is not the epic scale of the imperial family story that attracts, but rather the intensely moving and human one of a quiet, loving and deeply unostentatious family who like nothing better than being in each other's company, but whose lives ended in hideous murder. While it is their parents' story that will set the scene in the opening chapters of this book, and we shall see how they were in many respects the masters of their own violent destiny, it is the children who inspire a continuing sense of regret and of longing for a different outcome. As rulers of the most powerful empire in the world, Nicholas and Alexandra had been desperate for a son and heir. The birth of 4 daughters, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, in quick succession between 1895 and 1901, had brought considerable public anguish, but also much private joy. The arrival, finally, in 1904, of a son and heir to the Romanov throne, Alexey, turned the family's life upside down. Its whole focus shifted onto the sickly Tsarevich and the unending battle to keep at bay the crippling attacks of haemophilia, passed on to him unknowingly by his mother, which could at any time have killed the hope of Russia. With so much attention directed onto Alexey, less and less note was taken of his 4 sisters, who increasingly slipped into the background, an anonymous collective of pretty girls who seemed charming, uncontroversial, and dull. But despite living perpetually in the shadow of filial duty to their brother and loyalty to their controlling invalid mother, the Romanov sisters by no means lost their striking individuality. Olga, kind and sensitive, who loved poetry but who tended to introspection and mood swings, felt the weight of responsibility, as the eldest, to set an example. Tatiana, in contrast, never betrayed her feelings, was brisk and capable, and extremely good at getting things done. She had the same cautious personality and reserve as her mother, to whom she was devoted. Maria was sweet, gentle and loving, a natural caregiver who loved children. But as the middle child, she was vulnerable to being bullied by the others, particularly the 4th sister, Anastasia. Much has been written about the youngest Romanov sister, perhaps at the expense of the others, but she was an extraordinary individualist, a wild spirit, flamboyant and extrovert, good at entertaining people and keeping up morale. And finally there was Alexey, a bright inquisitive child who suffered from being spoilt by an overprotective mother, which encouraged bouts of bad behavior, but who demonstrated great intelligence and intuition as he grew older, and a compassion for those like him who experienced ill health. The intimate, highly protected domestic world created by their mama and papa, which these 5 children inhabited so contentedly till the outbreak of war in 1914, was very different from the public one occupied by Nicholas and Alexandra themselves. By 1917, the autocratic Tsar and Tsaritsa, once so beloved as the little father and little mother of the nation, were widely reviled in a rapidly changing revolutionary Russia. The country was warm.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?